2 months after the gallery rescue, Marcus's studio apartment had transformed into a testament to their whirlwind romance. Isabella's elegant art books mingled with his collection of digital tablets. Her vintage camera collection shared shelf space with his hard drives. The air always smelled of coffee and oil paints. Her recent fascination with mixing traditional and digital mediums, just like him. "You're holding the stylus wrong again," Marcus laughed, reaching around Isabella to adjust her grip. She leaned back against his chest, but her eyes remained fixed on the tablet screen, where she attempted to replicate his signature digital brushstroke technique. "Show me one more time," she whispered, recording the moment on her phone, supposedly for her artistic journey documentation. It was past midnight, the Seattle skyline glittering through the rain-streaked windows, and Marcus was too captivated by her dedication to notice her forwarding the video to a private email account. Their collaboration piece, Binary Hearts in Analog Space, had just been featured in Digital Arts Today. The article praised their innovative blend of styles, though Marcus noticed Isabella's contributions bore striking similarities to his techniques. He dismissed his unease, attributing it to their close artistic partnership. Late that night, while Marcus slept, Isabella sat bathed in the blue light of her laptop, meticulously cataloging every technique she'd learned. In a hidden folder labeled Market Research, hundreds of videos documented Marcus's creative process, each tagged with potential buyers' names. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her real employers. "Progress report due. Time is running out." The message arrived at 3:47 a.m., jolting Marcus awake. "Thought you should see this," read the email from a fellow artist, followed by a link to OpenSea's latest NFT sensation. Marcus's heart stopped. There on the screen was his unreleased Ethereal Memories series. Every brushstroke, every digital texture he'd spent months perfecting. But under another artist's name, Digital Muse. His hands shaking, Marcus traced the cryptocurrency wallet to its source. The transaction history led to a familiar email address, Isabella's email address. "No," he whispered, stumbling out of bed. The studio space they shared felt suddenly alien. Isabella's side was empty, her tablets gone, her clothes missing. His external drives were missing too, along with the backup drives he kept in their special place. On her desk lay a single USB drive labeled "Watch Me." The video showed Isabella in their studio, speaking directly to camera. "By the time you see this, the entire collection will have sold. Don't try to prove anything. I've modified the timestamps and metadata. Your techniques are brilliant, Marcus, but you think too small. The digital art world isn't about creativity anymore. It's about who strikes first, who strikes biggest." The final frame revealed a bank transfer, $8 million for the complete Digital Muse collection. Next to his laptop, his phone lit up with notifications as art blogs began buzzing about the mysterious new artist revolutionizing digital art, with a style reminiscent of rising star Marcus Chen. In the hallway, their framed Digital Arts Today cover story crashed to the floor, glass shattering like his heart. 37 days after Isabella's disappearance, Marcus sat in his darkened studio, surrounded by screens displaying art forums. Each one told the same story. Digital Muse revolutionizes digital art. Marcus Chen. Copying the innovation of Digital Muse? His own name had become toxic in the art world, with galleries quietly removing his work and collectors canceling commissions. "It's not just the techniques," he muttered, scrolling through Isabella's latest interview. She wore a digital mask during video appearances, her disguised voice discussing her creative process. His creative process, down to the smallest detail. She even mentioned the inspiration behind his unreleased pieces, stories he'd shared during late-night creation sessions. His phone buzzed. Another email from his former gallery. "Given recent controversies, we must terminate our relationship. Delete." His agent's message. "Taking a step back until this blows over. Delete." A comment notification. "Always knew Chen was a fraud. Delete." Standing at his apartment window, 18 floors up, Marcus watched the city lights blur through tears. His laptop chimed. Someone had tagged him in a video. Isabella, still masked, was accepting a Digital Art Innovation Award. "I'd like to thank those who inspired me," she said, her voice dripping with hidden meaning. His hand gripped the window frame, knuckles white. Then his niece's ringtone cut through the darkness. "Uncle Marcus, Mom says you're sad. Can you teach me to draw on the computer? I want to make art like you." Something shifted in his chest. Not hope, not yet, but a reason to step back from the edge. Marcus stood before a crowd at the underground Digital Arts Festival, his heart pounding. On the massive screen behind him, his latest piece slowly destroyed itself. Colors fractured, pixels blurred, and code corrupted in real time. A deliberate digital death that could never be replicated or stolen. "What you're witnessing will only exist once," he explained, watching the audience's mesmerized faces. Each viewing corrupts the file further, leaving behind a unique digital fingerprint. The art lives and dies with its audience. In the front row, his niece May beamed. Their Sunday digital art lessons had evolved into breakthrough experiments with self-destructing code. Her innocent questions, "But why can't it last forever?" had sparked his revolution in temporary digital art. After the presentation, a woman approached him. "I'm Sarah Chen, no relation." She smiled sadly. "Isabella Torres stole my augmented reality series last year. I never have the courage to fight back." Marcus discovered more victims as Sarah connected him with others. A pattern emerged. Isabella had targeted emerging artists across the digital spectrum, each theft more sophisticated than the last. Their shared stories became part of his new series, Digital Ghosts, pieces that displayed fragments of stolen art before dissolving into haunting digital remnants. The art world took notice. "Marcus Chen redefines digital ownership," headlines declared. Galleries that had shunned him now called daily. But it was the messages from young artists, thanking him for exposing the dark side of digital art theft, that truly marked his rebirth. His phone buzzed. Another article about Digital Muse's latest show. For the first time, he didn't feel the need to read it. The Pulse Gallery hummed with anticipation during the premiere of Digital Ashes. Marcus's latest exhibition featured 30 self-destructing pieces, each dedicated to an artist whose work had been stolen. The crowd gathered around the centerpiece, a massive digital canvas showing a phoenix composed of corrupted code fragments. Security to the east entrance crackled through his piece. Marcus turned toward the commotion, and time stopped. There stood Isabella, thinner than he remembered, dark circles under her eyes. Gone were the designer clothes and confident posture. She clutched a worn manuscript to her chest, trying to push past 2 security guards. "Please," she called out, her voice breaking. "Marcus, I have to explain everything." The gallery fell silent. Phones emerged, recording the moment. Marcus felt 3 years of pain crystallize into something sharp and clear. "Let her through," he heard himself say. Isabella stumbled forward, tears streaming down her face. The manuscript in her hands read, "The Price of Stolen Dreams." A confession in bold letters. "I've exposed everything," she whispered. "The ring, the buyers, the whole network. I'm testifying next week." The phoenix on the display behind them began its programmed destruction, its wings dissolving into chaos. Someone in the crowd gasped as Isabella fell to her knees, holding out the manuscript like an offering. "I lost everything that mattered because I wanted everything that didn't," she said, her words echoing through the silent gallery. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for justice, starting with me." In the gallery's private conference room, Marcus sat across from Isabella while their lawyers flanked them like chess pieces. Between them lay a stack of documents, evidence of an international art fraud ring that had tentacles in every major digital art marketplace. "They approached me 2 years before we met." Isabella's voice trembled as she slid across a photo. Marcus recognized the man, James Reynolds, owner of Reynolds Contemporary. "He knew about my brother's gambling debts, said they'd hurt him if I didn't help identify promising artists for them to exploit." Marcus's hands clenched. "So I was just a target." "At first," Isabella whispered, pushing forward a USB drive. "But then I fell in love with your passion, your creativity. It destroyed me, knowing what I had to do." Every night I thought about confessing, but they threatened to release evidence framing you for other thefts. Her lawyer produced a thick file. Ms. Torres has been working with Interpol for the past year. Her testimony will dismantle one of the largest art fraud operations in digital history. But full cooperation means admitting to every theft, including yours. Marcus stared at the evidence before him. Hundreds of artists targeted, millions stolen, lives ruined. In surveillance photos, he saw Isabella meeting with crime bosses, her face showing the same fear he'd seen in the gallery. I'll testify too, he said finally, surprising everyone. But not for you, Isabella. For every artist who didn't get the chance to confront their thief. In the gallery's private conference room, Marcus sat across from Isabella while their lawyers flanked them like chess pieces. Between them lay a stack of documents, evidence of an international art fraud ring that had tentacles in every major digital art marketplace. They approached me 2 years before we met. Isabella's voice trembled as she slid across a photo. Marcus recognized the man, James Reynolds, owner of Reynolds Contemporary. He knew about my brother's gambling debts, said they'd hurt him if I didn't help identify promising artists for them to exploit. Marcus's hands clenched. So I was just a target? At first, Isabella whispered, pushing forward a USB drive. But then I fell in love with your passion, your creativity. It destroyed me, knowing what I had to do. Every night I thought about confessing, but they threatened to release evidence framing you for other thefts. Her lawyer produced a thick file. Ms. Torres has been working with Interpol for the past year. Her testimony will dismantle one of the largest art fraud operations in digital history. But full cooperation means admitting to every theft, including yours. Marcus stared at the evidence before him. Hundreds of artists targeted, millions stolen, lives ruined. In surveillance photos, he saw Isabella meeting with crime bosses, her face showing the same fear he'd seen in the gallery. I'll testify too, he said finally, surprising everyone. But not for you, Isabella, for every artist who didn't get the chance to confront their thief. 1 year later, visitors at the Museum of Digital Art stepped into Betrayal in Binary, wearing VR headsets. They gasped as Marcus's stolen artwork materialized around them, each piece dissolving into Isabella's copied versions, then fragmenting into evidence photos of the criminal organization that had orchestrated it all. Marcus stood at the back of the room, watching as a teenage girl removed her headset, wiping tears. I never knew digital art could make you feel so much, she told her friend. Near the exit, a wall displayed photos of the fraud ring's conviction. Isabella's testimony had led to 18 arrests and the recovery of artwork worth over $50 million. The last group just finished, Isabella said quietly, appearing beside him. She looked healthier now, though her designer clothes had been replaced by simple business wear. Her 6-month house arrest had ended, but her career in the art world was over. She now taught digital ethics at an online university. The Singapore Museum wants to host it next, Marcus replied, keeping his distance. They weren't friends, but they had found purpose in their shared mission to protect other artists. As the final visitors left, Marcus activated his newest piece, a collaborative work with other fraud victims. The massive display showed a digital forest growing from corrupted code, each tree representing an artist who had reclaimed their stolen work. Sometimes beauty grows from broken things, he said, more to himself than to Isabella. She nodded and stepped away, understanding that some pieces of art, like some pieces of trust, once shattered, could only be transformed, never truly restored. The harsh gallery lights cast unforgiving shadows across Marcus Chen's face as he stared at his corrupted masterpiece. Where vibrant digital brushstrokes should have danced across the massive display, only fragmented pixels flickered mockingly. 3 years of work, his magnum opus combining traditional Chinese ink techniques with cutting-edge digital art, reduced to geometric chaos just hours before the biggest opening of his career. No, he muttered, fingers flying across his laptop, desperately trying to restore the backup files. Each failed attempt sent another wave of panic through his body. The Access Gallery's annual Emerging Artist Showcase wasn't just any exhibition. It was his one shot at breaking into Seattle's competitive art scene. Have you tried accessing the source code directly? A voice asked behind him. Marcus turned to find a woman in a sleek black dress, her dark hair pulled back in a precise bun. She moved toward the display with practiced confidence, eyes scanning the corrupted images with professional interest. "I'm Isabella Torres, curator at Reynolds Contemporary," she said, already pulling up a chair beside him. "And this," she gestured to the glitching display, "this is fixable." Marcus watched in amazement as her fingers flew across his keyboard, navigating through code layers with surprising expertise. "You know digital art restoration." Isabella's lips curved into a slight smile, her eyes never leaving the screen. "I know many things, Marcus Chen. Your work is too important to let a technical glitch destroy it."